This is Jenny Bell from Clarington, Ohio, and I'm listening to Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
Do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening for the live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to jump in on the show this evening via phone calls and or emails, I can help you out with that. Here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, it is the second Tuesday of the month. And you know what that means? We're going to had a visit by the creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website on the face of the earth. That, of course, friend of show, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. And we are going to be tackling a small handful of your Thanksgiving questions that have rifled in here over the last number of hours. We will also be talking at length about something I will just tease and say a lot of us have had the occasion to put together some very flavorful rubs and sauces. And while the majority of us will keep them to the vest and keep them as homemade recipes, some of us will venture out and get into the business of barbecue and grilling where we sell rubs and sauces. And that's all I'm going to tease there. We might have a lot to learn, especially if you're somebody that's thinking that's a project you might take on in 2021. You will want to stay tuned. You will want to know all about what we are about to talk to Meathead about, AmazingRibs.com. He'll take up the 2 slots there in the first hour as usual. If you have phone calls or emails, Meathead and I are anxious to take live phone calls. It's never happened on the show. I don't know why. But Meathead is not shy in any way to do those live phone calls and see what happens. I have a hang up button, so if you get out of line, I can just hang up and we can move on to the next one. But if you want to do that, we're happy to try that out. After Meathead, we will move to the second hour. He was once a longtime sponsor of the show a long time ago. Actually, back when the show was originally just in podcast form. So we're talking about 13, 14 years ago. The last time he was on the show was 2015 when he took down the SCA World Championship Steak Cook-Off title. That, of course, is the founder of Cosmos Q, a very popular line of rubs, injections, and marinades and sauces. Darian Khosravi makes his reappearance on the show at 10:14 Eastern. And coming out of the bullpen tonight is a longtime sponsor of the show, the creator of Fireboard from Fireboard Labs. That is Ted Conrad. We have a new product to talk about with Ted, and we have some other updates as far as wireless probes are concerned and some of the other competing products that are out there. So Ted coming out of the bullpen tonight to close it down. Meathead, Darian Khosravi, and Ted Conrad all in line. If you want to jump in, once again, 216-220-0966. Some of you are asking me right off that, what's with the mask in the house? Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, let me show you. This is a Barbecue Central Show branded mask on either side. So if you think you're somebody that is a mask wearer and you want to represent the show, you can't really see it too well here, but it does say, it's got the logo. This logo right there, but it's on the side of my face. Got it made by, who makes those damn business cards? Vista Print. Not necessarily cheap. Look out, but very comfortable. It's got this a little extra chin strap. If you got a fat face, you got a little extra chin room for you. They got the adjustable ears. So if you think you're somebody that would be interested in this kind of a thing, go ahead and let me know all about it. And I'll help you out. Hey, look at this. T&S Barbecue just locked down a $1.99 super chat on YouTube. $500 or get the F out, TNS. Let's go. $199. Come on. It's $500 or nothing. Let's go. So if you are interested in the mask, I got a very, very, very limited amount. Hit me up, Greg, at the BBQ Central Show. And in 5 or 6 paragraphs, tell me why you deserve one, and I'll think about it. Shipping's on me. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snappy Chat, and brand new added this week, something called Parler, which looks like a revised version of Twitter. I heard everybody talking about it over the last 48 hours. Jesus Christ. And I figured, why not give it a shot? So I jumped on there, same handle. So if you're on Parler, friend me or add me or follow me or whatever the terminology is for that particular platform. Of course, streaming live video, Facebook/BBQ Central Show, and on Twitch if you want. And of course, the YouTubes where I am collecting mass amounts of cash to the tune of almost $2 /RD Rempe on YouTube. So the other benefit of the mask is I can get right up on the microphone and I don't have to use this pop filter. I have a brand, or not a brand new, but I have a fully integrated pop filter right there. By the way, my middle daughter did test positive for coronavirus about a week ago. So we've actually been masking in the house because nobody else has had symptoms or anything. She's got very mild symptoms, cold-like symptoms, nothing worse than that, which is good. I was just COVID tested today along with my youngest. My wife goes tomorrow just for precautionary measures. So we're on straight up lockdown for 2 weeks and masking in the house as it was recommended by the County Board of Health. We're sending in temperature readings once a day and any symptoms that we're experiencing. They're on top of it. I need to lead with this evening. So if you're somebody who is putting on a barbecue contest in 2021 and you want to get a crack at that Smithfield grant program, make sure you hit the website and apply ASAFP. Go to Smokin, SMOKIN, smokinwithsmithfield.com, and then click on the grant program link. Fill out that application that is on that page and then hit submit. And your application will be sent to the proper channels where it will go under review at that point. This is what you would call, quote unquote, the last call for submissions, as they need to be in by 11/16, so it's 6 days from now, or a little less than a week. Smithfield is celebrating its 5th year, if you can believe it. 5th year of the Committed Cooks program, and of course, they are bringing back that Committed Cooks program too. I'm happy to see that even given the events of this year, and they had plenty of events that were canceled or pushed away or all this other stuff, and not really able to do the events that they wanted, but they are back and better than ever with their 2021 grant program that they've jumped back into. And we'll see how it all unfolds over the months to come, and I'm sure we will get the exclusive unveiling for those contests that end up being picked right here on this show with Laura Paul from Smithfield. And I am very much excited to see who gets picked, and also very much excited to see what the 2021 competition season is going to look like, considering how the 2020 season just ended about a week ago. You would recall we had Brad Leiniger from Getting Basted on this a week ago, talking about his newly found 2020 KCBS Team of the Year. KCBS ended much earlier than they ever have before. They have started the new Chase series. So they're currently in Chase number 1 that's going through a shortened specified time. So if you are a team that isn't going to be putting in the marathon effort for the traditional Team of the Year, jump into one of those chases. Best 5 scores. And they're paying overall top 5 and categorically in the top 5 as well. That's KCBS. How about that? But again, if you want to get on that grant program, head on over to Smithfield. SmokingWithSmithfield.com. Hey, brand new sponsor to the show. You ever heard of a company called B&B Charcoal? Yeah, I know you have. Little charcoal 101 for you. Not all charcoal is created equal. First and foremost, charcoal is a heat source. You want to look for the most efficient way to cook outdoors. Second is the taste and appearance benefit that charcoal can give your food. Third, the health and safety considerations for you and your equipment. 2 main types of charcoal, of course, lump and briquettes. Key difference, lump charcoal is 100% natural wood. Briquettes are made of wood byproducts and additives. Quality food comes from quality ingredients. Fuel is the last ingredient, but it is the first taste you perceive when eating. Choosing the right fuel source makes all the difference. It's very important to use the best quality charcoal when you cook because it's both a heat source and a flavor source. That's why you should try B&B Charcoal if you haven't already. But what's the difference between the two? The first option, lump, is made by burning pieces of hardwood into carbon in special low-air ovens. Lump charcoal produced in low-oxygen kilns or retorts, capable of holding 100 cords of wood at a time. Lump is 100% natural, easy to light, heats up fast, burns hot, around 800 to 1200 degrees, and produces very little ash. Lump charcoal, very responsive to airflow, making it easy to adjust the temperature. And there is a wide variety of species that can produce distinct smoky flavor profiles on your food. The other option, of course, is charcoal briquettes, a manufactured product made up of several ingredients, including wood char, coal, nitrates, lime, starch, minerals, borax. Charcoal briquettes were first popularized in the 1920s when automobile maker Henry Ford and Thomas Edison teamed up to turn tons of scrap wood for his auto business into valuable consumer products. Briquettes still contain various components in addition to charcoal, which improves the heating and length of performance of the product. Briquettes are made to burn longer, more consistently than lump, but not quite as hot, around 600 to 800 degrees. The specific temperature rate enables you to control the cooking process and set distinct heat zones for extended burn times by using the minion or snake method, as it were. Briquettes are less likely to break apart, so you can use the whole bag. Consistent, predictable are the hallmarks of cooking with briquettes and key factors to producing great tasting food. Briquettes always convenient, reliable, and an inexpensive fuel source. Bottom line, it's up to you. Choose what you want, briquettes or lump. No wrong answer. But choose B&B Charcoal. bbcharcoal.com is the website, bbcharcoal.com, and we're back with Meathead right after this. Stick around.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections and marinades and rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oil. All the products tested on the competition circuit as well as in backyards worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up right now. Always, always trust your butcher. All right. You know what time it is. It is the second Tuesday of the month. And that, of course, brings a visit from the creator of AmazingRibs.com, Meathead, of course. Hey, Meathead, how are you?
Hey, Greg. I'm sorry to hear about your middle daughter. I'm just checking your temperature here, making sure. That's good.
Good?
That mask looks good on you.
Thank
I
you.
figure there's only 2 of these in existence, and we're not selling them. But,
No?
No.
You own both?
We're not big on selling things. Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm not selling things either, but I'm just giving them away.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. What happened?
There's a caterpillar on your lip.
Oh, yes, you know it. I knew it. I see. Look, I'm glad
What the heck is that?
I'm glad you saw that, because I was talking with Sam, the cooking guy, last week, and we were replaying I don't know if you knew it or not, Meathead, but McDonald's is rolling out the McRib on December 2nd nationwide, which is the first time they've done a nationwide rollout in no less than 8 years. And it was originally...
You heading down there to get one?
Absolutely not. I think McRib is a terrible representation of any sandwich in general, let alone barbecue.
It's just a sweet, wonderful barbecue sauce.
People fiend for it. In fact, prior to this nationwide rollout that is happening in just a few short weeks, McDonald's had also made a McRib McRib locator app that you could download. And if you weren't in a city that was participating in the McRib, you could see how far away it was from you, and people would pile in and race to the next time. I mean, they have the
marketing.
The market is cornered on brilliant marketing when it comes to this thing. Somehow they have convinced most of the general consuming public that piece of crap is a good sandwich, and it's not.
Oh, all right. I'm going to argue with you on that.
Please do.
It is a ground pork burger. I mean, I go to AmazingRibs.com and look up McRib.
Yeah.
Because I bought several of them, and I took them apart, and I washed them off, and it's just ground pork. It's probably pork shoulder.
It is.
Lips and assholes, whatever. But it's just ground pork on a bun with a Sweet Baby Ray look-alike barbecue sauce, a couple of pickles, and some onion. And the secret is that it's a sweet barbecue sauce, a lot of liquid smoke, your favorite subject. Ugh. And people just love that sweet barbecue sauce. You could put it on cardboard and they would beat a path to it. Yeah. And I mean, it's a pork burger. I mean, we love hamburgers. Why don't we love pork burgers? We do. We should. And it's just a pork burger with barbecue sauce.
But then you should willfully market it as the McPork Burger or something along these lines, not the McRib. They are trying to tease people. I would say they are giving people fake news when it comes to rib sandwiches.
And now we know why you're not in charge of marketing at McDonald's.
Well, trust me, they have fooled these people, and all they do is race to the nearest place, get it, spark up Instagram.
I don't think anybody... Not many people laboring under the misconception it's a rib. I mean, they just want the sauce.
Meathead, have you watched these videos? They race to the restaurant, fire up Instagram Live, take a bite, and then it's like they're having an orgasm all over themselves with how great this is, and the McRib is back, and come on.
It's just people who love barbecue. So, hey, Greg. Time for a little honesty.
Love barbecue.
Have you ever gone to the fridge?
Yes.
Opened up a bottle of barbecue sauce and just took a slug?
Yes, absolutely. What do you Meathead, you remember? Remember when you were on my show and I was drinking Dave's barbecue sauce right out of the bottle? It was delicious. And it's not the same thing, by the way.
Same thing. These people are just taking a slug of barbecue. They don't care if it's pork, hamburger, chicken, whatever underneath there. They just want the barbecue sauce.
They have bought into the whole concept that this is the embodiment of proper barbecue. Perhaps this is the only barbecue they're ever eating in their whole lives because they don't leave Cleveland or the Far East suburbs of Chicago or wherever the hell they're going to be. And the difference between me drinking barbecue sauce is the fact that I know I'm opening up a bottle of barbecue sauce and drinking that. It is in itself what it is. the McRib sandwich is a piece of crap sandwich, a bastardization of anything that should be on a fast food menu, let alone a menu in general. And then people going, "This is the greatest thing." The commercial in 1989 that I played that brought about the mustache, by the way, because in 1989 this guy was driving a old Sierra Cutlass 4-door, little squished version, looked like he just got back from the accounting office, and the voiceover guy's like, "Dad's in the McDonald's drive-thru picking up a sack of barbecue." I mean, even then they were passing it off as barbecue, and he's eating it in the driveway as the kids are in the window like, "Daddy, you're eating our barbecue."
Think about the Arby's campaigns where they're really, apparently, in fact, I went down and I bought an Arby's brisket sandwich, and it was respectable. Completely different. I hope these people aren't laboring on the... Well, I mean, there are a lot of people who think barbecue is a flavor profile. That's why they love barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Barbecue potato chips, barbecue McRib, whatever. Hey, I heard you say that Ted's on tonight.
Yes, Ted Conrad. Very nice.
This is the new?
Yeah, the Fireboard 2.
The new Fireboard 2?
Yes.
What a sweet... It weighs a ton. I mean, if somebody threw this at you, and it would do serious damage. But it really is. They've cranked it up a notch. And I heard you say wireless probe.
Yeah.
And that caught my eye because I've been nagging him to go that route. That's a trend that's coming on now. There's about 3 or 4 wireless probe thermometers on the market now.
Well, let me get your thought on that, because I have talked to Ted, both on and off the air, that I thought his ability to quickly capture and then corner the market of this remote thermometering is by coming up with a not huge gauge but wireless probe, any number of them, let's say 6, because a Fireboard can take 6 inputs and
I don't care how huge gauge it is. I mean, what harm is it going to do to my brisket?
But it's got to work, and it's got to have the ability to roam that the Fireboard is currently giving you. And his biggest argument to me months ago was that there is a potential expense. So what happens if, for instance, Meter is the continued big name in this wireless industry?
They were the first in the field. Yeah. There's 2 or 3 competitors now. I've got 1 or 2 of them, as a matter of fact.
But there's a lot of technology that is packed into these single thermometers. So what happens if that thing breaks? Are you spending $50 or $60 if one of them breaks instead of the $15? No.
The concern is that there are a lot of very sensitive electronics in the probe. And during a break, I'll go get a couple of the probes and we can show them. But if that probe falls out or is pulled out and exposed to flame, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the thought is, well, how much to replace? If you have all of that stuff in there, is it going to be $50 to replace? Right now, if I jam up a Fireboard, right? So if I jam up a Fireboard thermometer right now, it's $15 to replace. Easy stuff, not that big a deal. But maybe it's $50 or $60 to replace a meter if something goes wrong with it. That's a big expense.
Well, one of the real advantages of these wireless units is that a lot of restaurants have these big rotating carousels, and you can't put a wire into the meat, and so a wireless is really perfect for the restaurants. It's nice for home use also, but I think that's the new technology, and I think in another 3 or 4 years we'll see a lot of people using it, and they'll get smaller and thinner and perhaps be able to withstand the heat better. But, when you stick it in a piece of meat, remember, meat's 70% or more water. Water's a great insulator. You stick it in the meat, and even if you take a brisket up to 203, the electronics are protected. They can handle 203. If it falls out or you pull it out and you lay it on the grill surface where it's 500, 700, I listened to you talking about B&B charcoal.
Yeah.
By the way, kudos to them for giving fair profile of briquettes and lump. A lot of lump manufacturers speak ill of briquettes, but there's benefits to briquettes.
Sure.
And they balanced it properly. And I was glad to hear that. There are good reasons to use briquettes. But in any case, if one of these probes lands on your grill grate, it's shot.
Meathead from Amazing Ribs joining us here on the show. And so quickly, we oh my God, we got so off base with the freaking McRib. Anyway, the point of the matter was the guy had a huge mustache on in the commercial, and I told Sam, you can't meet somebody without a mustache and then grow a mustache after you've known somebody, because it's always going to look very weird, and you can never get away with it. And what's the first thing that you noticed when I came on and took the mask off? Oh, you're a mustache, because you've never seen me with a mustache. You've seen me with a beard, but the mustache is a completely different ballgame. You can have a beard, you can not have a beard, and then have a beard, and it's okay. The mustache, very weird, and you noticed it.
Yeah,
you noticed it.
Well, you look like you're trying not to be
I'm Mario. All right, so I got some Thanksgiving questions before we get into some unveiling of business items.
Yeah, we got a secret to share.
We have
you got exclusive
breaking
on this.
news.
Nobody else knows.
So we'll talk about that. So quickly, let's go over the a couple traditional items. If you get a frozen turkey, which you recommend, by the way, instead of getting these fresh birds, and we can save that shenanigans for another time. But what's your traditional thawing time that people want to allot for, so they're not
at least a week.
Screwing them? At least a week,
Start
no matter
at least
what.
A week early. Pardon?
No matter what size.
Yeah, I mean, just get to the train station before the train. Don't worry about timing the arrival of the train. Just start a week early. Thaw it in the fridge. And if it's thawed a day or two ahead of Thanksgiving, it's not going to hurt. And I'll do the quick summary of why. Frozen turkeys, they slaughter it, they freeze it. It's pretty darn fresh. Fresh turkeys can sit around for a week or more, going from the farm to the warehouse, to the grocery store, on the grocery store shelf. It is no longer fresh, and government definition of fresh can be 26 degrees, which means essentially they're frozen. So I always buy. They're not far from my house. There's a place that slaughters turkeys, and you can go there, and I can say I want that one, and take it home. It wasn't any better.
Outside of the traditional stuffing or dressing, you're a big fan of stuffing muffins.
Yeah.
We like that.
I mean, if you stuff the bird, you have now made a bowling ball. And remember the basic core concept. This is a really important concept. Hot air cooks the outside of the meat. The outside of the meat cooks the inside of the meat.
Yep. Air
doesn't penetrate the meat. As the outside of the meat warms, the heat moves slowly towards the center. So the thicker the mass, the longer it takes for it to get to the center and make the center a safe temperature. In the process, the outside continues to heat. So your skin will get nice and crispy, but the layers just below the skin will be way overcooked and dry. So that's why spatchcocking is a great technique. You open it up, you have a much thinner area. You're cooking on both sides, the inside and the outside. It cooks in about half the time, much better for moisture retention. Stuffing the bird is traditional and fun, but it's a recipe for cardboard.
I have an email from Jason Kaplan of the Howard Stern Show. Top man in the industry, Meathead. Since Thanksgiving will be here for us this year, we're planning on doing... Since Thanksgiving will be small for us this year, we're planning on doing individual Cornish game hens. Any smoking advice for them?
First of all, I have become a huge fan of Cornish game hens. First of all, they're not Cornish. They're not hens. They're just young chickens. A chicken goes from egg to your grocery store shelf, from egg to 3.5 to 4 pounds in about 2 to 3 months. It's just amazing, the growth rate. A Cornish game hen is in between. A Cornish game hen is a young chicken, and the skin is thin. There's not a lot of fat. This household, it's just my wife and me. One Cornish game hen is enough for the two of us. They're almost always tender, almost always juicy. They're great on the grill. You can smoke them if you want. If you're going to smoke a turkey or a chicken or a hen, 325 is what we recommend because you need to render some fat and crisp the skin. Almost everything else we recommend 225. Lower is better almost always, no matter what meat you're cooking. When you cook at higher temperatures, you're shrinking proteins and squeezing out juices. But I absolutely adore Cornish game hens, and I've been cooking them lately on my Weber kettle with wood. I got my local wood supplier to give me splits that are about 8 inches long, and I stack them up. I burn them down to embers, and I throw that game hen right over the two-zone cooking. By golly, that is marvelous tasting. Love them. Have fun with them. You'll enjoy them immensely.
Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, breaking down some Thanksgiving questions. Also got an email from Stover that says, Meathead, I am sure you've heard of turducken. I think those are gross, but I'm wondering if you have any recipes for pineapple duckin.
Oh, my God. Oh, he's sticking his elbow in my rib.
I think so.
Because he knows I'm a fan of pineapple. I have bought and cooked turducken. I have never made one from scratch. There are restaurants that serve them. It's a turkey around a chicken, around a duck. And then the stuffing is a cornbread stuffing, often with andouille, and the individual components are fine. But again, you're dealing with a very thick bowling ball, and duck breast is best at 140 degrees. And to cook this thing through, you're way overcooking the duck breast. It's a fun idea. I mean, John Madden made it popular. It's just not a great meal. If you want to do it and have fun, fine. You'll do it once, and then you'll never do it again. If you get a good one from New Orleans with a good cornbread stuffing with andouille, it'll be very tasty. But all the meats will be way overcooked. Just make sure you get a good gravy.
All right, get a good gravy. And Rob Bass, as I was just flashing up there, says Meathead's thin gravy is the best thing to happen to turkey ever. So
can I talk very briefly about that?
Very briefly.
The key to that gravy, thank you, Rob, is put your turkey above a drip pan. And in that drip pan, put all the trimmings, the skin, the neck, the gizzards, everything except the liver. Liver is not, don't put it in there. Separate the liver out. If you want the tips of the wings, if you're going to spatchcock it and you remove the backbone, throw that in there. Throw an apple, some celery, some onions, some garlic, a handful of herbs and spices, maybe a bottle of white wine or some chicken stock, and just put this pan under the bird and let the bird drip into it and let that pan also get smoky flavor. And then just before the bird is done, 160 degrees for the bird, and around 150 or so, pull the pan out, run it through a strainer, separate all the solids, and then taste it. And if it's too thin, put it in a pot on the stove and cook it down. Add a little salt. It's just awesome. And if you pour that on top of your chicken slice or your turkey slices, instead of mixing it with flour, where you make wheat paste, and it just sits on top of the meat, this will actually penetrate the meat and add tons of flavor. But even if you don't, you'll get enough out of this that the day after, I drink this stuff as soup. It's just fantastic.
All right. So head on over to AmazingRibs.com to get that recipe and try it out here in the next couple weeks, or just keep like a vat of it in your refrigerator. I'm sure you'll find uses for it.
It's in the ultimate turkey recipe.
All right, ultimate turkey recipe. All right, stand by, Meathead, and we will come back to you here in just a moment. I'll talk to you quickly about Pits and Spits. Since 1983, handcrafting smokers and grills in Houston, Texas. In that time, Pits and Spits has established itself as one of the premier brands in high-quality offset smokers and more recently pellet grills. Pits and Spits sets itself apart by using heavy 7 and 10 gauge steel in every cooker, fully welded construction that you can feel when you use the unit, a 304 stainless steel roll top lid and a front shelf on every single smoker. So why does it matter? Well, you're using higher quality materials. Pits and Spits smokers reach and maintain temperatures, allowing you to worry more about the meat than the heat. By providing a fully welded smoker, you don't have to worry about grease and smoke leaking out of the barrel and your grill rattling apart as you move it through the backyard. And by using 304 stainless, you're getting an heirloom quality product that you can pass down to your kids. Now, where some companies focus on being the low-cost provider, Pits and Spits focuses on craftsmanship and using quality materials. Are there cheaper ways to make this unit? Yes, but they don't like tack welds, cheap stainless, and electronics that you can't trust. Having in-house manufacturing gives them complete control of their design and standards, not something you find with products brought in from overseas. Their steel suppliers supply materials to be used in some of the harshest environments around, so you know they're going to perform in all conditions. And their controllers are made right here in the USA, so they have unimpeded transparency into the programming. Bottom line, Pits and Spits is a dealer network across the country, and if there isn't one close to you, call Coy at the shop. Tell them I sent you. 844-650-6250. That's 844-650-6250. Whether you're a backyard grill master or a competition team, Pits and Spits has a product for you. You can check them out online, Pits and Spits, all spelled out, Pits and A-N-D, pitsandspits.com, or see their pits in the wild across all social media handles at Pits and Spits. We have business to talk about with Meathead. An exclusive announcement. So that sounder will be queued up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The BBQ Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
If you have a Pits and Spits pellet cooker, you want to buy your pellets from CookinPellets.com, your #1 source for quality wood pellets. I use them in my Traeger. I use them in my Green Mountain Grill. Someday I fancy myself a Pits and Spits pellet cooker. I would use Cookin Pellets in there as well. You can go to CookinPellets.com to purchase and see what all the other stuff that they have, or Amazon.com if you would rather. Up to you. Meathead's right here. But by the way, you notice my mustache, and let me give you major kudos on that sweet mic setup that you have there, Meathead. Look at it. You got a boom arm and the microphone. It sounds really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Well, you know, we've talked for many years on air.
Over a decade.
I listen to TV and radio, and it really drives me nuts when NBC or PBS or somebody interviews somebody, and it you know, and it's just terrible. And I talked to you, and you said, well, the secret is get a good microphone.
Right.
And so I asked you what to buy, and you recommended a brand, which I bought. I think about 100, 150. I don't know what I paid for it. But it's a really sweet machine, and I hope I sound good.
Yeah, sound great.
I've got a new camera coming, so my video feed will be better.
Right.
But I'm sorry to say I'm not setting up a studio. This is my office. This is where I work every day. It's a pile of junk. My new camera, I'll be able to pick it up, and I'll show you everything that's in here.
Oh, great.
Because there's hundreds of books in here. But you know, thank you for the recommendation of the microphone. And yeah, I got the professional swing arm here.
The whole everything.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk about business. If I may do, if I may do this.
A BBQ Central Show exclusive news update.
Right. Yeah. From the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, we go to the Chicago suburbs, where we find our reporter Meathead on the scene with a breaking announcement.
Well, I'll do the slow build. For years, we have shared recipes for rubs and sauces on the website, and they've become very popular. There are a lot of people that love them, that swear by them. They've been used in competitions, and people win awards with them. And people have often said, why don't you bottle them? And I've just said, no. I mean, we're all about recipes. That's what AmazingRibs.com is recipes, sharing, teaching people how to cook. Besides, every barbecue joint in America has rubs and sauces. How am I going to compete with Sweet Baby Ray or everybody's neighborhood local barbecue joint that they want to support? And a couple of years ago, I went to Kansas City for the National Barbecue Association Conference. And on that trip, I stopped by Old World Spices, which is located in KC. And they're just as wonderfully, they're large, but they're still boutique-y. And I really went there to learn more about spices and, solubility of spices, which spices dissolve best in water, which spices dissolve best in oil. And while I was there, Amy and Jerry, Amy's a VP, Jerry's in charge of production, they sat me down and we had a chat, and they said, Meathead, your brand is so well known. If you produced a sauce and a rub, it would sell very well, much better than a lot of these sauces and rubs by these barbecue teams and restaurants that nobody's ever heard of. And, it dawned on me. I said, well, gee willikers, we do have more than 1 million people a month come to our website. Maybe we should do it. And I just filed it away. And it's been like 3 years. And, we're having a staff meeting and we were talking about, in any case, long story short, we said, what the hell? So we reached out to them, and we are formulating 3 rubs and 3 spices, 3 spice rubs and 3 sauces. And they should be on the market in first quarter, late first quarter, late winter, early spring. We're working with an artist, and we're going through the whole process. And I mentioned this to you. I have not made this public yet. I have not told anyone. I told a few people in our Pitmaster Club.
Public now?
And it's getting around there. But otherwise, it's been a secret just with me and our team. And we're having fun. We're having fun with the process. And I thought, well, gee, maybe, Greg, you and your audience would like to hear how the process works, bringing a rub and sauce to market.
Well, I find this fascinating, Meathead, because my devil's advocate as we chat here month to month is just what you said. You've put all the recipes online. It seems completely counterintuitive from a business standpoint for you to now invest. You're going to invest money into making a buy on 3 different rubs and 3 different sauces. You're going to have to inventory. I mean, there's costs on your end in hopes that people will buy these. So are we relying on America's natural laziness to see a recipe that they can get for free and that they might like with their eyes and go, I don't want to put in the effort and I'll just go ahead and buy it?
Well, this was a real problem for us.
I would bet.
And the breakthrough was a couple of years ago, Chef Ryan, who was my sous chef, and I went up to Seattle and worked with the Chef Steps people. They're very famous sous vide people, and they love barbecue, and they're into it. And we were having fun trying to create the outdoor barbecue flavor indoor. And so what we ended up doing was we took our popular Meathead's Memphis dust and we smoked all the ingredients. And so the ribs actually got a kind of an outdoor flavor. And God help us, Greg, I know it's going to make you nauseous, but we used liquid smoke in the sauce. And we came pretty close to an outdoor flavor cooked indoors. And the light bulb went off. These rubs and sauces are going to be smoked. So we're starting with Meathead's Memphis dust, but we're smoking the ingredients. There's some slight modifications because when you put things in a bottle, you've got to make some concession. Well, among other things, you have to put salt in it. Now, anybody who knows our website knows I have always said, don't put salt in your rubs because You need more salt on a pork butt than you do on a slab of ribs.
Mm-hmm.
The slab of ribs is very thin. It doesn't take long for the salt to penetrate. A pork butt is thicker. You need more salt to penetrate a lot more density. And so separate the two, apply them separately. You apply the salt per pound and the seasonings based on the surface area. Commercial rubs all have salt, and you have to have salt in commercial rubs because it's easy, it's convenient. People don't want to apply 2 layers. Plus, it's economical. If you leave the salt out of a commercial rub, you're automatically the most expensive rub on the shelf, and nobody's going to buy it. So we've had to bite our tongue, and we're putting salt in the rub, and we're tasting them now. They have taken our recipes. We're smoking the ingredients. They've sent them back to us, and it's kind of fun. For those of you who are watching, we're getting stuff like this. This is the sample that Old World sent us of our. This is the Mrs. O'Leary's cow crust, which is one of our beef rubs, and so we get the sample. And we asked them, they make the rubs and sauces for a lot of restaurants and competition teams. And so we said, send us some samples of your favorites. Well, they said, we're not going to send you their bottles because that's proprietary.
Yeah.
So they sent us these little packets, unlabeled, but it's labeled beef rub 1 or chicken seasoning 1.
Yeah.
But these are some of their favorites. So now we're tasting ours against some of the top brands. I went out and bought all the McCormick seasonings. I bought some of the most famous rubs and sauces and all of our team. Now, it's funny. We never talk about my business, but I work from my home. This is my office. Max, the guy who tests grills and smokers, your listeners may remember Max. He shows up on your show. He's about 50, 60 miles from here. Our lead programmer is in New Zealand. David, our editor, David Joachim, he's in Pennsylvania. Clint, one of our new, not new, he's been with me. He's our senior VP. He's in Memphis. So we're scattered to the 4 winds. So we're all tasting these independently. We're cooking with them, and we're trying to decide how our recipes stand up and how do they work and are they viable.
Was it a big deal for you to suck it up and put the salt in the rub because it was that big of a mantra against it? And then
there was a lot of discussion.
Do you go? So when I'm talking to folks that are making the decision to go into the rub business, some are just in it because maybe they got a name they can cash in on. They don't really give a shit about quality per se, as long as it tastes okay. But there isn't really a lot of original thought that goes into the rub per se. Something they can market, make a few bucks, maybe, and then just something to further the brand recognition. But there's some other folks, for instance, Jess Pryl come to mind. She seems unrelenting. She will not sacrifice one principle. She will have something that costs a little bit more for her to make and in turn charge more for the consumer to make. But she is going to live and die by the recipe that she feels needs to be on that shelf. So how do you reconcile going against a mantra that you have preached so long and be okay with it?
There's no alternative. I mean, we will not sacrifice quality on the ingredients. I mean, if they come back to us and say your recipe costs 10% more than any of the others, that's all there is to it. We're going to have to go with it because quality counts. But when you are competing for a mass market audience, I mean, a lot of grocery stores and hardware stores, you go in there and there can be 20 or 30 rubs, 20 or 30 sauces, all on the shelf side by side. Your label has to jump out and your pricing has to be competitive. And you can't compete unless you have salt in it. Now, some of them have more salt than others, and we're working to get the salt balance right, but we have to be convenient. We have to meet the consumer expectation, and it will be different from the recipe. And people who are devoted to excellence will make their own recipe without salt, using the recipe on the website. But I'll bet you they'll try a bottle of the commercial because it's really kind of interesting with the smoked ingredients.
From a sauce standpoint, there's easily 878 options to choose from when you go to any grocery store or specialty store, what have you.
Yeah.
So now you're at a fight for name brand recognition. Kraft, Casey, Masterpiece, Sweet Baby Ray's, Stubbs, just to name a few.
Sweet Baby Ray's the dominant. I've seen it sell for 99 cents a bottle.
Yes. So how are you competing and getting in and not getting caught up in the noise on that? Is it solely because it's AmazingRibs.com?
We're right now in the rub phase, and we haven't had any samples of sauce. We have recipes on their desk. So I can't say, and I don't know what they're going to cost. Right now, we're working strictly on taste. We sent them recipes. They're assembling the recipe. They're adjusting the recipe as they see appropriate for production purposes. I went and visited them, as I said, a couple of years ago, and one of the things that blew me away is that Jerry, the guy who runs product development and the testing facility, really bright, really talented, really knowledgeable. And he had surrounding him about 5 20 to 30 somethings who were food science majors in college who were just really sharp as a tack. And they often, like every day, they start their day with blind tastings. Here's a hamburger. It's got a seasoning on it. What's in the seasoning? I mean,
Rub
these kids are sharp.
sommeliers.
Yeah, right, like sommeliers.
Yeah.
And so we've asked them to taste them and tell us what they think, would improve it. And we're getting their feedback. So we're modifying, and we're going to settle in on the 3 rubs fairly soon, and then move on to the sauces. The process is just a lot of fun. Tonight, I cooked 5 chicken legs with 5 different spice rubs on it, including ours, to do a blind tasting with my wife and I. And David in Pennsylvania is doing the same, and Clint in Memphis is doing the same, and Max in Western Illinois is doing the same, and Husky in Michigan is doing the same. We're all doing our own little tastings, and we're conferring and sharing notes, and we'll hopefully settle on something that works. It's just a fun process.
Ultimately, this will be your decision on what makes the cut. You'll gather feedback and go, okay, this is what I'll
gather feedback, right. And if everybody disagrees with me, I'll go with everybody. But if there's scattered disagreement, or just a few disagree with me, my preference will carry. Yeah.
All right.
But good.
I'm getting ready to tie up. So if there was something else you wanted to add before we
we'll check back in. This process is, along with it, we're working on the label. We want the label to stand out and to convey a message. So we're working with an artist in Ithaca, New York, we've gone through several iterations of design. So the brand, by the way, is called Meatheads, and it has my ugly mug on the label. Did you see the label I sent you?
Oh, yeah. Let me pull it up.
I sent you a copy of the first draft of the Memphis Dust label, but it's based on the picture that's on the cover of the book. There it is. Yeah.
Yes. It's very nice.
That's the same mug that's on the cover of the book, basically. The book has sold almost 250,000 copies, so it's out there. And we're going to take advantage of the brand recognition and the name. And while we're at it, by the way, we're going to rebrand the website meatheadsamangingribs.com.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean,
Lord. Is the sky falling down? I mean, what the fuck is going on here? Holy crap.
I have for years tried to keep it corporate and non-personal.
My Lord.
And
if you tell me that next month I got to start calling you Craig, I'm going to eat my hat.
Shh. My staff finally reached to me and said, hey, get rid of this false modesty. Quit trying to hide your brand. It can be like Colonel Sanders.
Were you hiding your brand?
The brand can live on.
You used to yell at me if I didn't add .com when I said amazing ribs.
Yeah, stop.
I don't think you're hiding your brand.
No, I mean we're actually doing what we should have done years ago, and building on the Meathead brand. So
wow,
it'll be interesting. People can watch. They'll see that brand show up on the masthead of the website. In December, we're completely converting the website from Drupal to WordPress, major changeover, and we'll rebrand it to meatheadsamangingribs.com.
Is that how I'm going to have to intro you now? Now we go to the guy Meathead from meatheadsamangingribs.com?
Maybe, yeah. I haven't.
I need to know. I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah. Hey, it's 2020. You got to have a brand,
right? All right. Well, you can find Meathead at meatheadsamangingribs.com at amazingribs.com, and we will do spotty check-ins with this rubs that's coming out. So look for a potential launch first quarter of next year, and we'll see what's happening then. Regardless of all of that, Meathead, always appreciate the time, and I wish you a very happy and successful and safe Thanksgiving.
And to you, and I hope your daughter feels better soon, and none of the complications set in, and nobody in the family gets it. I've met one of your daughter. Is this the daughter that I met?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh dear, this is a very bright, wise, intelligent, and beautiful young woman.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Take good care of her.
All right, I will. Meathead, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much. There he is, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. And he is in the rub business now and soon to be in the sauce business, which I am, I can't believe it. And he's man, last month it was the origin stories where we were talking about Grey Goose capturing the world's fascination through the Alcohol and Beverage Testing Institute. Crazy. This guy's got a story for the ages every single time. All right, let's go ahead and transition out. We'll go wrap the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant, you're in luck. Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232 if you have any questions. Ted Conrad from Fireboard, which is selling Fireboard 2 and Fireboard 2 Drive, which is what Meathead showed you earlier in his segment. 10:35 Eastern. Ted will be on. We'll talk to him all about the good stuff. All right, so once again, and as John Solberg is Facebooking out, honestly, this is crushing to hear that salt is going into Meathead's rubs. This is the battle potential rub makers and sauce makers have to fight. Remember, was it last year? We followed Dion Blumenrader from Big Hoss One Sauce and his trials and tribulations from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We were wrapping it up, I believe. We should get Dion back on the show and see if it's all been a toilet flusher after the fact a year later, or if he's retooled it all and is going to start a rebrand of sorts, or at least a re-recipe of sorts. That was an interesting time last year. Once a quarter visit with Dion. from one sauce. Yeah. All right, thanks again to Meathead from meatheadsamazing.ribs.com. That sounds weird. And we are pointing to the second hour, refresh libations, and I will catch you on the flipper. Stick around, we'll be right back.